You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You're now tuned into the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7. I'm trying not to laugh really hard right now. The mic snuck in a classic right before we came on. Good to see you, gentlemen. My man Jay Moore in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I got to get some rest today.
Finally.
Yeah, man.
Finally.
Yeah, 3 or 4, actually, three 15-hour days in a row will do it to you.
Yeah, the older you get, the more it takes a long time to recover, brother.
You know, so got some rest, had a nice plate of food, and watched some TV today. So sometimes that's all you need.
It's grown folks' business. My man Lonegevity. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Yo, that was an ode to?
What?
What's that actor who's always like, who was in Superbad? The guy that was always real tentative? I think it is Michael Cera.
It wasn't Michael Cera. It was McLovin, right?
No, it was Michael Cera.
Oh, I guess it was
Cera.
Michael.
Yeah.
My man DJ Jay Diff in the building. What's happening, man?
Salutations.
Everything good?
Yeah, man. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Oh, man.
Is that what we doing?
Yeah. You know.
I don't know. Probably something to do with a woodchucking.
Yeah.
If a woodchuck
could chuck wood. Yeah.
Something.
All right,
Something
I can
related.
dig it.
Something related to that.
Yeah, or
Nursery.
Frogger. Remember Frogger? Frogger crossed the road, too, if you can make it across.
If you can make it across.
Yeah, you had to have skill. You know, get Frogger across the road.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some rap music
Yeah.
or something rap adjacent. Come on.
Rap adjacent. I like rap adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
So my man Andrew Barber, who's a Spotify partner, did you see the rollout that they did for Spotify Classics?
No, I don't mess with Spotify.
Well, I got it.
We had a whole conversation about why Spotify is trash.
Evil.
Well,
Anyways,
What
are we talking
Spotify
about?
did.
Yeah.
what Spotify did, they have him being a partner, they had him review one of the lists, and it's classic albums of the streaming era in rap and R&B, and he kind of went through some of the ones that were listed and some of the albums that weren't.
All right, Andrew, tell us about what you want us to know.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andrew Barber from Fake Shore Drive. Spotify just dropped their first ever classics program, which is highlighting impactful albums that dropped in the streaming era, roughly 2015 through present day. But it seems heavily focused on the years of 2015 through 2019. Today, I'm partnering with them to give you my thoughts. Now, I've been blessed enough to have been working in the industry during the end of the mixtape era, throughout the blog era, and now the streaming era. And throughout these times, a lot has changed in the way we discuss, digest, and consume music. People say there are no new classics, but I have to disagree, and this list is proof. There's some great albums here, and I'm super happy that Spotify put them into this type of context. A wise person once told me, a great list is one no one can agree on. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, this is my own personal taste, so don't try to comfort me. Each of these picks means something to me. Perhaps I knew the people involved or watched it come to fruition. Whatever the case, I have a soft spot for these albums. So coming in at number 1 is Freddie Gibbs and Madlib's Bandana. Now, it's no secret, I've been friends with Freddie for over 15 years at this point, but I've watched him build his career brick by brick. He definitely took the stairs, and there were no shortcuts or cheat codes for Gibbs' journey. So to see him become this underground hero who crossed over and become a Grammy-nominated artist has been so rewarding for me. While he has a number of agreed-upon classics under his belt, I feel like this is the moment he truly separated from the pack and went to the next level of his career. He and Madlib just work so well together, and every accolade this album got was well-earned. I think it was consensus pick for Rap Album of the Year of 2019. This project just, to me, felt like a celebration, and I hope we get another one at one point. Number 2, Saba's Care For Me. Now, I watched Saba come up as well.
Fire.
We were there from day one, basically at Fake Shore Drive. He's always been a special artist, but I feel like this album was the exact moment really everything came together and the rest of the world saw it, not just Chicago. This album is a little bit bittersweet for me because of this sad undertone and kind of dark cloud around it surrounding the passing of John Walt, Saba's cousin and Pivot Gang partner in rhyme. You know, I knew John Walt personally, and he was a very good guy. I mean, everyone's shocked at his passing. So I feel like this was a bit of a release therapy for Saba. It's an important album to Saba and the city of Chicago. Definitely rest in peace to John Walt. Number 3, Jay-Z's 444. After a 4-year hiatus, Hove returned with a grown man rap album that had everyone talking. And of course, people are still talking about it. Kind of set the bar for adult adult-themed rap albums. Produced by my guy No ID. He's Chicago's own. I'm happy they were able to do a full project together. He's the only producer to have ever done that with him. Number 4, Tyler's Igor. Perhaps pound for pound my favorite album on this list, and probably the one I've played the most. It was a groundbreaking, funky, fun album. You could play it the whole way through with no skips. It just kind of has that certain bounce to it. I watched him perform this and win at the Grammys. That was a very important moment, very great moment to see. Great memory as well. Coming in at number 5, Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. I bumped into Nipsey at No Name Studios, which is the former Good Music compound. I saw him in the parking lot in the summer of 2017 as he was putting the finishing touches on this album. We had a brief chat about the album and his goals for the future. Everything he said he was going to do that day, he did. Over a year later, I saw him at the Grammy Awards, all dressed up, ready to win his award. Didn't work out the way we wanted to. Another bittersweet album, but a classic nonetheless. So to finish, I do think Chance the Rapper's Coloring Book, Lupe Fiasco's Teso and Youth, Schoolboy's Q, Blank Face LP,
Not
Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition, and Pusha T's Daytona should have been included here, but maybe that's just me. Go check out the Spotify's classics list. Let me know what you think, and let's discuss.
None of the Run the Jewels are in there either.
No, I think it's 5. His 5 was solid.
That was
No,
his
I was
list.
talking about it doesn't look like it appeared to be.
Oh, in any of the actual what Spotify deemed classics.
Knowing the criteria, was anything left out?
I would need to see a list. I can't remember everything. Those were just his 5.
Yeah, just his 5.
And because they were just his 5, I think the everything that he mentioned was really good.
Yeah,
I can't vouch for Coloring Book. I didn't like that album at all. But to Terry's, Terry said Acid Rap. Acid Rap was way better. But that might have been was a mixtape.
It might have been a mixtape and
pre-streaming maybe from when they started this. But Malibu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course,
I'll take that.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I'll take that one. No brainer.
Yeah, so Malibu definitely. I would say Beyonce's Lemonade. Yeah,
think that works.
I get it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You get it? Yeah.
Come on now, it's Lemonade.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me, but I understand
Right.
the
I'm not
value.
part of-
and I'm not a member of the Beehive,
Me
but
either.
I can't acknowledge it was a dope project.
Yeah, I can do that.
Fair enough.
And she wraps it up when she goes on tour, so it speaks to you differently if you see it live.
Renaissance.
It's another one of those ones.
Yeah,
Where you get it, you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Bryson Tiller, Trap Soul.
That's a good album.
That is a
good
good
album.
album.
I remember when that came out.
That's a good album.
That was end of the blog era. Leo's Soul Mother. I know
That's
Jack's
her
Very
personal
good.
favorite. This album's incredible.
That album is good to the point where I can't even listen to it.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm.
it feels different.
Very good
And
album.
you know what? Because she's put out more music since then, but I still go back.
Yeah,
Mother.
like I want to listen to it, but life doesn't let me listen to it.
I got you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Following up, Daniel Caesar, Fruitian.
Yeah, that's a good album.
It is.
What was the lead?
Freudian.
What was the single on that record? It was
Best
featured.
Part.
There you
Yeah.
go. Great song.
And Get You.
Great song.
Was Location on there?
You're thinking of Khalid?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
mixing the two.
Of course, Freddie Gibbs and Madlib Bandana. I would say that's
Yeah.
a definite.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. Frank Ocean's Blonde.
Yeah.
That has some heat on there. Yeah, that has some heat.
Future DS2.
No, how we feel. Well, at least
Well, no, I know how you feel.
No.
Future got some jams though. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've never jumped on the Future bandwagon.
Terry and I are locked in unison on his Future assessment. 100%.
Yeah. Her.
Super talented.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand that. I get it.
Yeah. The Internet Ego Death.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah. Took me a while to get into them, but yeah.
Jay-Z's 444.
It's not even up for debate. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Jasmine Sullivan's Hotels.
That's actually a good album.
That's a good, if you're an R&B head, that is an excellent project.
I might have to revisit that one.
Let's see what else. Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly.
Might be my favorite album from him.
Kendrick Lamar's Damn.
Yep. Come on. What?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Come on, Mouse. Let's see. Little Uzi Vert's Verse the World.
Y'all got to help me on that one.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
not
don't even think I've heard.
I'm not a
it.
fan, so I can't even act like I've listened to this
Yeah,
project.
I can't
It's
cap.
gonna make me sound old by saying I haven't even.
I'll just
listened
be
to it.
old.
What are the songs on it? Maybe it'll be something I recognize. I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
I've never been a huge fan of Mr. Vert, but I know that he has his own waves. So
He holds his Uzi vertically.
Migos culture. I've never been a huge Migos fan, but I think that this
That album is
definitely
fire.
belongs here.
This one's supposed to be
I
there.
mean, it was kind of undeniable. Like, even if you claimed you don't like this sort of
Absolutely.
hip hop, it was undeniable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got records on that.
Then we can talk about Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap.
No brainer.
That we gave definite props to. We didn't wait for him to pass away for him to give his flowers.
Facts. We've been championing. Did I say it right along that album?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
Victory Lap. Playboy Cardi, Die Lit.
I don't understand.
I don't know any of his music.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. But
What Joe Budden was saying last, don't nobody want to hear that. Fiend. Man, he was upset.
Like this is, I mean, yeah, like this is a whole thing. I maybe if I was one of those people who went to festivals, and watch people jump up and down and throw things at each other, it would be more my thing. But since
he
that's
got
not,
a wave though.
Yeah, I mean everybody got a
wave.
wave, but you know,
He got a wave.
Just because I got a wave, I mean you gotta catch it.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, I'm falling off the skateboard on that one, or the surfboard. Sorry. Rihanna, Auntie.
Anti. And that was fire.
Auntie. You don't like my enunciation?
Oh my God, man, Auntie.
Yeah, that
Auntie.
was fire.
so, yeah, kind of the same way. Wave as Beyonce for me. Wouldn't like. It's not that I don't like their music, but I'm just not that hardcore person. It's like
I actually ran that more than I ran any Beyonce.
This Auntie.
I guess if
more.
that's what you're gonna call it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Auntie for the day.
Yeah, all right. Roddy Rich, please.
This has some heat on
Please
there.
excuse me for being antisocial.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I ain't gonna hold you. This has. I listened to this one. We got some heat on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that one.
Let's go back to Saba Care for Me.
Man,
This was
I have to revisit this album.
this album here, bruh.
when this came out. This is all I played.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
man.
We talked about. I remember when this came out. We discussed this one. This one was.
Yeah, this was my favorite album that came out that year. Very, very one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah,
Solange, A Seat at the Table.
Fire.
fire.
Heat.
That's
Yeah.
her best album.
Yeah, it made the next album she put out a real disappointment.
Yeah, seriously.
That-
She
I haven't-
set the bar way too
And
high.
it
with
wasn't that
album.
bad. The second one
I
wasn't
listened
bad
to that
though.
the week it came out. I haven't gone back to it.
Me
since.
either. The Seat at the Table was just one of them ones. Like as soon as you press play on that mug, it was rocking from beginning to the end. It was structured right. It flowed correctly.
Yeah,
the sequencing was great.
flawless.
Yeah.
And you talk about somebody who was not checking for Solange.
Man.
I was like, because she's put out so much music that no one cared about.
Next is Summer Walker. Over It.
Yeah, I'm not a big Summer Walker fan. My nephew seems to really love that album. He said it's fire. I'll take his word for it.
I'm not a huge. I'm not very hip.
She got some joints.
I'm gonna have to leave that. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, she has some
ride
songs.
with nephew on that one.
But when you see what the next album is after Summer Walker,
Control.
yeah,
Says
There
it's
we go.
Control.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
fire.
yeah.
Or CTRL. How's that make you feel, Mike?
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm not frustrated. Anything.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Next, Travis Scott, Astro World.
That's fire.
Good project.
Get it? Yep.
Good project.
The tour was nice too.
Mr. Flower Boy,
Fire.
There
Tyler
we go.
the Creator. Yeah.
Fire.
I'm surprised his most recent record isn't on here. The one that DJ.
It is
Strong-
on there.
It is okay. I was about to say.
He got 3. That's what impressed me.
Tyler
Okay.
the Creator, Igor.
Fire.
Which You're gonna say yes, and then Call Me If You Get Lost.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
realize
man.
this was on here. So
Yep, I would agree with all those. Mr. X 17. This, even
Just-
though again, this goes. I would say for me, this is the same as like the Migos. I didn't listen to them, but can't deny the impact of this album.
Right.
You know.
I agree. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And following up, the end of it is nothing.
no, that was the last
That's
one.
it.
Caesar.
Yeah, it was on there. It was up there earlier.
I think Jay Moore's point about the separation and doing the era talk takes the older albums out of consideration, and you can focus more on how great these projects were for their time. I like that. I like that angle. It
Yeah.
takes the rest of that other stuff out because human nature, we go right back to the same old discussion.
It ends up being noise at the end of the day
Right.
because everybody wants their favorites to be included on lists like that.
Right.
And with them segmenting this particular time frame, I think they actually did pretty well.
Those are good records.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I think the only thing's missing, and the way these lists are put together sometimes where they say, okay, we're just going to include one project per artist.
Mm.
And so when you put multiple, Tyler Creator getting 3 of the spots, I can see where, okay, there were some things that were missed.
Nas.
Nas, yeah, you didn't, not one Nas project, no Run the Jewels. Those seems like serious omissions.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. The Killer Mike album. I don't know when the cutoff was for this, but those seem like serious omissions to me. I'm pretty sure there are more. Cool
ours.
Q's first joint isn't on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What was his first ones? That wasn't Habits and Contradictions.
Oh, no.
You're not
was
talking
the
about Blank
first?
Face, are you?
No, Blankface was like his
That was like after-
third or fourth.
Third, yeah.
I really like Habits and Contradictions, though.
I think I might be thinking of Habits and Contradictions. But I'm just saying, and once again, this is all subjective. my list would be completely different. I wouldn't have had Uzi. I wouldn't have had Cardi. I wouldn't have had XXS.
I mean, to be honest, this could be filled with 100 albums.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
I'm actually surprised with it being Barber that he didn't put Juice WRLD on there.
Yeah, I could see that too.
And he's been around long enough, like you have long to actually speak on this, like, to look at the era. So that's dope.
My man, Colac, Minnesota. What was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yachty?
Yachty.
Young Boatman?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sir's got some.
No Cardi or Meg.
That's okay.
No, basically, all of the female contributions to this list are all R&B.
Or even Childish Gambino could have had 2 joints on there to me, because he could have had Because the Internet and what was the follow up to that?
For You My Love or something.
For You My
Awaken
Love.
My Love.
Awaken My Love.
Yeah,
That was
both of them could have been on there to me.
That was my favorite record that year.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one, Terry. But it's just good to see that, like Lone said, those are good records though. So it's not like they pulled, for some what we would consider some BS.
No Rhapsody.
No Rhapsody.
No, that's true. Layla's Wisdom or what was the other one?
Layla's Wisdom was good.
What was the other one called?
Oh, that's the one I listened to the most, and I can't remember.
I know. I can
That's
literally
crazy.
see the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but the other Rhapsody one. Yeah.
The one where she pretty much paid homage to other.
Yeah. One with Oprah and had the Queen Latifah feature.
Yeah.
Now it's going to bother me.
Is it Queen?
Queen. No, it wasn't Queen.
No, it
That's
wasn't.
Nicki Minaj.
Now that's
Eve. She got albums.
yeah. I need to see now.
Eve.
Eve. Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So I think that's a glaring omission. But once again, I'm a Rhapsody fan, and that was my favorite album that year. But I do like I said, I like the fact that we're not sitting up here trying to have this conversation like it's not as good as
Exactly.
Wu-Tang Enter 36 Chambers. Like I think those. It's the same thing where we still have these people who are like comparing LeBron to Michael. It's like different eras, different rules. Different training and nutrition programs
And different positions.
Yeah, that
Definitely
too.
different positions.
Yeah.
Different ways of setting the salary cap.
You can make a comparison with Kobe and Michael.
Yes,
They played the same position.
and they played and
The same style.
and at one point there was an overlap there. They were on the court at the
together.
same time.
Yeah.
But LeBron, I don't. Anyways, it's neither here nor there.
But yeah, I actually. I don't care for Spotify as a company. Based on some of the things that we've talked about here, please reference other episodes of the New Old Heads podcast. But I think whoever curated this is one of those things that can get a more healthy conversation going on as far as the conversations we have about the different albums in hip hop. And stop. Like I said, stop comparing what you liked when you were 17 to what 40 years later somebody likes when they're 17.
Yeah, you almost could make an argument that every 10 years you should have a different set of albums
that would be listed as classics for that decade or
Right.
whatever.
where like so that you're not omitting things, because I mean these are literally makings of you at the end of the day.
I think it's just eras, right? So we could say like the original era, like the 80s.
Yeah.
Then we could say like, the 92, 93-ish to 99, because that was an era.
Right.
And then you can go like the 2000s, and then you could do like the blog era, and then you could do the streaming era. So
rather than force feeding your absolute favorite from childhood into every category.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, all of these records shape you at the end of the day.
True.
And arguing with somebody over your personal taste is kind of a tired argument in itself.
There's also no Mac Miller on this.
Oh man.
Good call, Lone.
Yeah, that's
But-
crazy.
Man.
So
That's crazy.
Shout out to Terry, because this is a late entry, but I like this little graph that's in the Lone. Can you go to the topic suggestion joint? So if you can see the graph, it says rap versus hip hop. It says the record business on one side, and it says hip hop culture, and it has free, obviously, on the other side. But on the rap side, it says sell records, make hits, create stars, win awards. The hip hop side says be the best lyricist, be socially conscious, preserve the culture, earn respect.
okay,
Did this come out in 1998?
I don't think so.
looks like the graphic was made in 1992.
But that's for the logic, Jay Moore. When you see this, you see it stacked up that way. Correct? Incorrect? Could they be fused?
I mean, because I think there have been some great lyricists who also made hits and
Thank you.
sold records who were stars. Are there people that fit completely into that rap side who do not have anything in common with the other side? Yes. But I don't think that, look, I think at one point hip hop really made it seem like if you had money, if you were out here getting a certain level of shine, like you weren't really hip hop. You had to be going state to state in a van and eating, burritos and having T-shirts and having scratch contests in the middle. And that was hip hop.
Right.
And as soon as one of those people cross over, there's a certain fan that'll turn on that person too. I know people who didn't like Common when he started to get a little bit popular because they thought Common belonged to them.
It's like he's quote unquote sold out.
I mean, I don't know if they thought he sold out, but it's like, hey, this is our guy. You can't radio people, you can't have him. People doing Coke commercials and Microsoft commercials, y'all can't have our guy.
Is it possible to preserve a culture in capitalism?
Oh,
that's the question I would pose.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of capitalistic companies that put preservatives in their food products.
I mean, he's right.
That's true.
I totally thought he was about to say something. I thought he was about to really do a deep dive into something.
Just real surface level. Surface level, but deep.
Shouts to cornstarch.
Yeah.
Shouts to cornstarch and,
all that stuff to keep it shelf ready,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Lone. That's a very good question. I
think there is. I think, it's messed up. There have to be people who, even in a corporate structure, there have to be somebody that care a little bit and say, hey, okay, we're going to make sure. There's always somebody at the top that believes in something artistic.
Right.
Now, that's because they had started at the bottom believing in artistic, and it kind of went away once they got to the top. Now, and it keeps changing places. Then you got the person that might be on the bottom or the middle that cares about it,
putting the preservatives in
until they get to the top. You know what I'm saying? It's a endless cycle. And of course you're going to get some stuff that is good or preservative free, so to speak. But most of it is going to be junk food because we're in a situation to where it's a business at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, that's what I mean. It's like if the ultimate byline of capitalism is to sell and to make money,
right,
and that is the most important thing above all else, then if that ever jumps in the way of preserving the culture, that is going to triumph that, which is really what we see constantly. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was just a random thought that I had. I've always looked at rap as like a part of hip hop.
I think they're kind of one in the same a little bit because it's weird because now they use the term hip hop a lot more freely than they just use rap.
True.
So like even with the TV shows are called like Love and Hip Hop and things of that nature.
Right.
Where the content is more rap versus hip hop. Like if you had a show like back in the day, I'm trying to think, maybe the movie The Show. That's more the hip hop and rap fusion, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was both.
That was the Russell
both
Simmons
elements.
one?
Yeah, that's the one that you could view on Bringing Down the Band.
You sure can.
Yeah, it included both elements in it. So you had some backpackers, you had some fly cats rapping, you had some hood cats rapping, or ruckus even. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they ever had anything like visual wise, but some of the projects that they had was mainly hip hop, so to speak, but they included some of the more popular rappers on there as well because they wanted to show that they can rap still. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to know that I can get down with these same cats over here and I'm respected over here.
So it's
whereas now I don't think people really care if they're respected on both sides of the coin.
So it's just not necessarily a mutually exclusive thing.
No.
But it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in conversations with people about,
and also I want to make this distinction just because in this particular thing where it says rap versus hip hop, this isn't rapping versus hip hop. This is trying to showcase that rap is absolutely a different genre than hip hop.
You're only going to make so much money if you're a graffiti writer. Okay. And that's when we're talking about we're getting to hip hop. If you're still, dedicated to the dance aspect, the breaking, you're not going, there's not going to be a welcoming vibe into the corporate structure for these elements.
Right, unless you are dancing for one of these NBA teams or something.
Well, yeah. Then you can say, okay, well, how can we make a little money off this? But by and large, I mean, just like maybe there'll be somebody that comes along and gives you a shoe deal or a hamburger deal after the Olympics, you know, and now that breakdancing is in the Olympics, but by and large, the rap component of it, the rap component of hip hop is where corporate interests lie.
Right. Correct.
And you know, and you talked about the preservation, you know, there are certain albums that are out of print now, and there's no clamoring for them to bring these albums. And sometimes they do show back up. Like, and I know a lot of people don't know this record. Ice Cube had an artist named KD.
Yeah, I remember KD.
You know, and
he had a song on
the Friday soundtrack.
Yep.
For the Freshest MC. I thought that project was dope. For a long time, that CD cost like $100 because it was completely out of print and you couldn't stream it. Like you can stream it now. You know, and I think the only reason somebody said, hey, maybe we should make this available is because we can make some money off of the nostalgia now. Right. You know, when it was just
100 is a lot.
Yeah, and there's still CD. I tell people, if you're going to preserve any of your physical media, as far as your CDs, do not let go of your soundtracks, because those soundtracks
the hardest to find.
Are so tied up in, you know, with so many different artists from different record labels, and some people are not motivated. Like, you still can't stream Raphael Sadiq's Ask of You. The preservation part of it, I think now in the streaming era, people trying to preserve this music, I think there's more of an emphasis on that, because for a long time it's like, why would we put this music back into print and try to sell it when nobody bought it in the first place? Now I think there is a way, it's like, oh, maybe through nostalgia we can try to sell this album we had no real value in. You know, so I think that, but of course that comes back to capitalism, because your motivation for preserving certain pieces of art comes down to you thinking you can make some money off of it.
Now it's a record store day release. Right? Yeah. And it's limited quantity, and you got to hurry up and get it before they pretty much take it out of print again for another record store release.
But at least at that point, at least it kind of exists to some degree. So it's an interesting balance there, I think. So if you ever go to if you ever getting your Gary Vee on and you're going to garage sales, look for them soundtracks.
Yeah.
True. The hip hop rap conversation is triggering sometimes. Confuses me because on one hand, I've heard people say, man, don't nobody want to hear that hip hop, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear that. And in the same token, they'll say they want to be respected by the people that are quote unquote on that side because they feel like they should be mentioned with hip hop. And it's always been confusing with the two, because I've just heard people say, don't nobody want to hear that like when you say real hip hop, to me, I've been in conversations multiple times where that's a trigger word. That triggers people.
Triggers me too. Like,
do you see what I'm saying?
What are you saying? Real hip hop.
Exactly. I've heard, because when you put the real on it, it's almost like you're downing the other half. Right, that the other half is not, whatever. Yeah. I think there are two pockets for sure. I
definitely see in our comments a lot of times, because we tend to get an older crowd a lot of times that listen to us, and there's definitely a rap versus hip hop crowd that listens to us that would definitely make the argument that they are two different things. So.
Well, because I said something on stage and I had this conversation with just a few people this weekend, during our, I guess you would call it almost like a mini festival. I said one of the things that makes me so happy about the Indianapolis scene is at one point when I first got here, I just felt like there were a lot of people just begging, going up to the radio station and being like, why don't y'all play our music? Why don't you do this? Because they were still thinking of if they could just get their song played one time, somebody will show up and sign them and they'll sell 1 million records. To where now I feel like Indianapolis has its own hip hop economy. We have MCs that have their own studios, have their own retail stores. Shout out to Maxie.
Shout out to Maxie.
Podcasts.
Have their own podcast, that
shout out to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have, like I said, we have a hip hop festival here.
True.
Being from St. Louis, I love my city. We don't have a hip hop festival in St. Louis.
Right.
There's no hip hop festival in a bigger city like Chicago.
You wouldn't even work in Chicago.
Yeah, I said this on stage and somebody was, not too much on Chicago. Because I said, that sounds dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
Hip hop festival in Chicago.
I ain't going.
But, like I said, we have our own economy here because people stop begging and asking for people to do things for them, and they start to do things for themselves.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a very, for lack of a better term, that's a very hip hop thing that this city has done to create its own economy, because I'm not saying we didn't want to, because that'd be great if we had one of those people that just broke through and became a national act, but we weren't trying to break into the rap industry. We were trying to create a hip hop economy here, and that's what's happened.
Yeah. I think
it kind of was by default too, because trying to break into it, it's almost like we had to rely on each other to kind of help try to boost it. So a lot of the people from the same areas created the hip hop festival, so to speak, and included everybody else in it. And so in a sense, it's hip hop creating its own capitalism in our city because people are eating off of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I was so happy when we went from the era where
that'd be socialism.
I felt like y'all got to stop going up to whatever the radio station was at the time and bothering Brian Wallace and DJ Rec One and asking them to play your record a couple times. Like, it's just not going to happen. Do something, And I feel like everybody just got the message and decided.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
because
no,
every once in a while it comes back up.
It goes back to Terry's point about there being multiple scenes here too.
That's true.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just I'm more involved in the scene that says, why are we going to go up there? They're not going to play our records. Let's create our own.
We're very much a part of one scene in Indianapolis.
Right.
Not to say that we don't know people on the other side, because I do know people over there, and I know we probably all do to some degree. But like, there's an entire other economy that's kind of going on in Indianapolis on the other side, which is very interesting. But
at least it's its own economy. As opposed to
begging for handouts and all that.
Remember when we talked about how shout to Dame Dash, but in the words and him having kind words to say about Indiana and as a whole. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd been nice if you came and said that in 1999 or 2005. But right now, we moving in our own direction
or at least
in a
be
real
hip
way
to both sides of the coin. Like anybody that even and shout out to Dame Dash for even doing that. But
true,
I feel like anybody that's from here, if you're not reaching back into the actual culture that benefited you at one point in time or whatever, that's kind of lame on your end. You know what I'm saying? Because you came from it, but you're not reaching back into it.
Yeah, and it's different. It's different than just popping out here and there, but not actually doing the groundwork to go see certain artists, to go see people perform, to ask questions about who's trending, who are the people that are bringing them in, or all that. Those are questions that need to be asked if you're truly trying to invest in where you came from.
Exactly.
Instead of just surface visits, clout chasing visits, because that does nothing for the ecosystem that we're talking about. It does nothing. When you clout chase and just pop in the city, take a photo, and then do an interview and leave, that does nothing for all of the artists that we're talking about right now that actually could use some of your expertise or some of your connections. They're right here in front of you. Why wouldn't you go back and ask them?
Or even the people that decided, there are artists that have kind of made it reasonably big without even investing in their local community as such. One of those artists, I could make the argument, opened up for Lil Wayne this weekend. He didn't really, I'll just say his name, I don't really care, Kid Quill. He's a decent artist, and he did his own thing. And, you could say he represents Indiana, but he doesn't really represent Indianapolis and the hip hop culture in Indianapolis.
Those are two different things.
Yeah, definitely. he really didn't immerse himself in the culture of Indianapolis hip hop. Now, that doesn't mean that some of us don't know who he is.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in that aspect, he didn't, if we're looking back at this rap versus hip hop graph, he kind of went on the record, the rap side instead of,
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Side.
And so that's kind of the difference in that aspect as well. And then when you're a white artist, you're going to get it even more for doing that because you didn't.
Or even not even rap, you can almost, and rap has a lot of subcategories. It's almost the commerce side of things.
Yeah.
To where.
Well, that's essentially what that is, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the record business.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
But, and again, that's not even really a shot at him per se. It's just kind of showcasing the difference in approaches from different people.
I actually think that's what you said is a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair assessment.
If Kid Quill, just using you as an example because that's just what you are. But if, let's say he came up within the culture of Indianapolis hip hop that he could have, and then he also reaches the heights that he reaches, and then he comes back, then he's going to get the same love that he gets back. And it's going to make us that much better as a city, as opposed to what you were saying, Mike, just kind of popping in whenever you pop in, doing your thing, and then going, that's a part of building a culture. That's a part of building a culture.
Yeah, I think he's similar to like a Mark Battles. Mark Battles started out with Monkey Boy, essentially. And then I don't know what happened with that, but we all know the Mark Battle stories.
He did the same thing, so
right?
Essentially.
So,
yeah, two different strokes. one builds the culture within where you're from and the other one doesn't really. So, that I think that's pretty much when people talk negatively about either of these two artists, that's really where it's rooted from.
That's where it's coming from. Yeah.
It's just like, well, you didn't really invest in where you're from.
I don't think you said anything that's a shot per se or anything. It's just much success to him, though. I ain't got no reason to hate.
It isn't about them. It's just about rap and hip hop.
It's about the structure of
rap
the way
and hip hop
things work.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
All right, we're back.
Welcome,
everybody.
got it this time.
Yeah,
Glad to see everybody.
Let's clap for Mike. Come on.
Thank you.
That's the first time in like probably 6 weeks, man.
Longer than that.
That's definitely like half a year.
Closer to half a year. Closer to half a year.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
It's all good, though. It's all good. We appreciate our partners as always, and salute to them. Shout out to the chat. And who was that? Hash Brown Junkie still. He said, not sure why this popped in my head, but I feel the Beastie Boys went from rap and then wanted to go to hip hop in their career timeline.
I don't
what
know
do you guys
if
think about
that.
that?
No, because they went from punk to hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think they really left, because when you listen to their very first album that, on Def Jam, that was in line with everything that was on Def Jam and happening in hip hop at the time.
License to Ill.
License to Ill, because Rick Rubin was involved. The same thing sounds like, the Run DMC and the LL records.
Very grassroots.
Yeah.
It sounds like the stuff he still does to this day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then a lot of people, after they left Def Jam and went to Capitol, put out Paul's Boutique.
Mm-hmm.
Like that album was so dope that people thought it was whack at the time. Like they went from selling 10 million records to barely being able to sell 500,000. It was a crazy drop off as far as the commercial success, but artistically, I thought it was good. I wasn't a big fan of Check Your Head, but once it got around to Ill Communication, I was all on board with the Beasties. I don't think once they got on as far as hip hop, I don't think they ever left. It's just like you can look at the commercial success and say, oh, they went into the quote unquote rap side. Like if they could have made License to Ill 2 and probably sold another 5 or 6 million albums.
Yeah.
But they just didn't do that.
Yeah, it was, in my personal opinion, I'm with you. It was on par with everything else that was coming out then on Def Jam. I actually think, if anything, if Beastie Boys had started their last run maybe 5 years later, or maybe even just a few, they would have been considered pop at the time, because if you notice, they started gaining a lot of ground, like when they were doing the Intergalactic and all that stuff.
That's how I got hip to them.
It was more, they were crossing over more to the popular side of the rap game versus being hip hop, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
I think there is a discounting of the Beastie Boys' contribution to hip hop, unfortunately, because of the way, like, they were almost marketed as alternative. Just because there were some guitar riffs in their music. And I was like, well, there have been guitar riffs in their music this entire time. And just because they saw, the Sabotage songs is pretty much a rock song. But it's like
their first songs were too, even like their videos were like frat house videos at the end of the day.
And it was just crazy. I think that, like I said, I think we discount the Beastie Boys' contribution to hip hop, because a lot of times we didn't hear them on the hip hop station, but they would be played on the alternative station, even though even the songs that were just straight hip hop would get played on. I mean, it was the same thing. I remember when Eminem's "My Name Is" came out and 105.7 The Point in St. Louis, they would play that record. And I was like, this isn't even close to being an alternative song. But just because you saw the white face on the cover, you're like, this is alternative. We can put it in here. And I think, I don't think they discount Eminem because of that, but I do think they do that to the Beastie Boys, and which I think is unfair, because there's no Beastie Boys album where I'm like, no, that was just okay. Like I take that back, except for Check Your Head. I don't know why, I just don't like that record. But all the other Beastie Boys albums I enjoy thoroughly, and they are definitely hip hop.
Probably more hip hop than their first album was. Because the first album was, other than like, well, no, I can't say that. There was some hip hop, a lot of hip hop elements on there, but there were a lot of rock elements on there too.
But there were a lot of rock elements on those Run DMC records, even the ones before Walk This Way, because everyone thinks it started there. I was like, no, didn't you hear Rock Box? You know, didn't you? You know, I just think that sometimes we lose things in the conversations because of how the corporate structure, or you know, the capitalist structure, if you will, categorizes music despite what it is artistically.
True that.
Well, shout out for the
yes.
For the
comment though, that's
you got to get us talking.
Yeah, that's what's up. I got a deep dive. This is random, but it's a deep dive question. It's related to a certain selfishness as we have as creators, and I want you guys to tell me if this is selfish or if it's human nature. And it's the fact of wanting, or really, really wanting your flowers or your respect as a creative, because I was told that that's selfish to actually want to get your flowers for the work that you've put in and the things that you've done, versus just letting someone tell you that you're great. Do you see where I'm going? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you see where I'm going? So to me, I think it's human nature to want to get your props for the work that you put in. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I'm just throwing it out there to see what you guys think about it, because I was told that could be from a selfish standpoint where you want your props. It
is from a selfish standpoint. It's from an egoistic standpoint. That's your ego talking.
Okay.
Shouts to everybody in the chat and everybody who's listening who's heard an Eckhart Tolle book and read A New Earth or one of those mugs.
Oh, okay.
But like, I'm not even going to say that it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't want to label good and bad with it, but it is selfish.
Dive into it a little bit for me.
It's selfish, or it's egoistic in the sense to where you want praise for something that you're doing. You want people to look at you and give you props. Mm-hmm. You want to be recognized. What is speaking? What part of you is actually doing that?
Ego.
It's your ego that wants that, right?
That's your ego.
So I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I think too much ego can get in the way of just existing and creating freely, because in the back of your mind, you might hold some spite because you're not getting that from said person or whatnot. But if you're just creating from a free place and you're making stuff, we all want to be acknowledged for everything that we're doing, whether we're creatives or not.
That's why I said the human nature piece.
Whether we're fathers or whether we're mothers or sons or whatever, you know, just people in a workplace or whatever that is, we want to be acknowledged for that. And so if you're creative, it just so happens that the things that you do is creative and it's art, and you want to change the world in that manner. So I think it does come from a place of ego. I operate from a place of trying to destroy my ego as much as I can. Mm-hmm. But it's a constant process, and it's something that I don't know if I'll ever fully accomplish, because I don't think I'm ever going to be a monk. But
because there's a difference between overly wanting someone to acknowledge you and just pushing stuff in the forefront and asking for, look at me, versus just the human nature side of you to say, well, it would be dope to kind of be, you know, get some love for some of the work that you've put in. I think those are two different things.
I think they're two different things, but I also think that if you're truly operating from a place of, I don't want to say not caring, but just appreciating, like, I want to come from a place, me personally, I want to operate from a place of just appreciating the people that appreciate what I do.
I do too.
And that's it.
I do too.
If you can't see the greatness that I do from whatever angle that is,
might not be for you.
Then it's not for you, and that's okay. Maybe I need to change my presentation a little bit to reach you in that manner, if I care about reaching you in that manner. Okay. Otherwise, you know, it's just what it is, man. Like, not everything's for everybody. Not everybody has to be there for everybody. A lot of us out here want to be everything for everybody, right, as much as we can, but we don't have the time to. And you know, like, I'm not gonna get mad at somebody who wants to support for some reason but just can't for whatever thing they have going on in their life. I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean?
I got you.
And I used to be that person a long time ago, and I've you know, changed and evolved over through the years.
You and I have talked, you know, we've talked privately about this on the surface a little bit in terms of what you're saying. So I don't know, man. And Jay, I'll come to you and Terry as well. But when I heard the selfish part, I like what you broke down when you said it is your ego. But I just know that there are sometimes we see people that just go overboard.
Well, there's the Kanye.
Just so bad just to try to get it. To me, that's different. That's annoying. I think as well. I think
it's easy to kind of look at the people that do it to the extreme, like a Kanye, and be like, well, I'm not as bad as Kanye, so that means that I'm okay.
That I'm okay, right.
You know what I
right.
mean? So, and I think that's what we have to be careful of. Just because we're not doing the extreme version of it doesn't mean that what we're doing isn't detrimental to the things that we're trying to do.
Okay. What you think, Terry, in terms of, because you're a creative. You got things that you do that are dope and that you're great at, and do you look for certain levels of validation, or is it just like Lone said, it's just for the people that rock with it, and that's what it's for?
No, not really. And sometimes that can be a curse in itself because you're not putting yourself up in the light of asking or wanting people to validate what you are. You know what I'm saying? When we live in a society where that's pretty much how it operates. You're supposed to big up yourself. You're supposed to say that you're this and you're that. And, hey, look at me. I'm just not that type of individual.
Right.
So it doesn't affect me in a sense of me asking for it, but it may affect me in a sense of other people not looking because I'm not like that, if that makes any sense.
I like that. I still fall victim to it. Don't get it twisted. Like, I'll do like doing things, and it's just kind of like, it would really be nice to be acknowledged here, but then I have to check myself. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? But it's not like nobody wants to not be acknowledged for things.
And that's what I mean when I say there's that human nature factor in it. Where it's exactly what.
But that's what I'm constantly working to rid of. Is my answer to that.
Yeah.
Right. I got you.
I kind of changed when we were doing big, bringing down the band a lot, like 24/7 all the time, and the amount of work that we were putting in versus what people were giving back.
It's not skewed completely.
Yeah, it was crazy skewed, and it started to rub me the wrong way because I would look at certain people like, you expect us to just do this for you, using the platform, but you're not returning that love, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Barber in Chicago. They swore by Fake Sure Drive. Still do.
Still do, yeah.
Essentially, we were Fake Sure Drive of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still here, but we're just not doing it
in the same way.
The same capacity that we were doing it. And I don't think people were grasping on to what we actually had and the energy and the flow that we had. And it got to the point where I was just like, man, F these people, essentially. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And that was something that you had to work on, kind of like what he's talking about, to get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like we had to step away from it to a degree, you know what I mean? Because it's a thankless job, you know what I mean? And it's like, kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about like building things within the city and stuff and how the culture grows from under, like that, what we were doing was an integral part to that.
True.
Yeah.
Whether people want to acknowledge it or not, it's up to them. But what we were doing was we were building infrastructure for what's to come afterwards. And that's the way that I look at it.
Right.
Things can thrive now because of what we were doing then, and kind of give path to those things in the future. But at the time, we had 12,000 posts. A lot of those were Indiana artists too. You know what I mean? And so just the amount of people that just didn't have the vision of what it could have been, but we did, because we had that. Look, Andrew Barber went to the same high school as we did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I knew about Andrew Barber. I knew about Fake Sure Drive. You did a project with him in like 2009.
Yeah.
So I'm hip to the things that he is doing in Chicago, and I'm we can do that here, but people just didn't grasp it.
And and it's the total opposite, because I was living in Chicago as he was building it. And I was actually there, and I saw the groundswell around him as it started to come up.
Yeah.
So as he would pop out, because he started off going to all these places and events and just passing out cards, the groundwork. Right. But when I saw the actual hip hop culture there embrace him, once they got past he's from Indiana or whatever. Right. Once they got past that, they actually started to embrace him, and that the springboard, once it hit, took off.
Yeah, because they realized that resource meant a lot as far as exposure.
Period.
And if everybody's getting behind it, then it's going to move.
Yeah.
And you all bringing down the band had the exact same structure here.
Similar, not exactly.
I take that back. I take that back. You're right. I take that back. But similar concept. But the groundswell wasn't there. Again, to go back to the conversation we're talking about now, it was just kind of a learning experience for me, and Terry kind of touched on it as well. Like, we saw what it could have been
But then I had to just accept, well, this is what it is.
Right.
And how can I just take what is and just, build from there? What's the next step? You know what I mean? And maybe do it differently. Maybe approach it from a different angle. That's where this podcast was spawned from. It's literally, it's what this, we're like, well, we're not blogging anymore. What about a talk show?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe we can reach people in that manner. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what you think?
Evolved from being just local. Well, I mean, it wasn't local. It wasn't local then either, but we made sure to put local people included in a light to where they would be seen amongst their peers from other areas.
Yep.
Lots of local people.
Yeah.
We'll just say lots.
Yeah.
Jay, what you think, man? What do you think about the things that you do and how you're received or perceived?
Well, you're talking to somebody who basically did take that Tuesday for almost a decade, didn't see any money.
That's true.
We would be happy if there were 15 or 20 people that came to see us on a Tuesday night. But then I just remember it was the 9th anniversary. That was the one.
Yeah.
Where it all came together. And all of a sudden, on the 10th one, we was like, okay, we're going to start moving tables out of here. We got to start early, so everybody who can get in wants to get in. And now we're about to have the 18th anniversary next month. So, and the thing is, man, about ego, and sometimes you can have ego, and it's not always a bad thing because you know what you've done and the work that you've put in. No diss to anybody who had a podcast stage or anything during All-Star Weekend, but there are people where I'm like, even if we couldn't have done it, somebody should have asked
100%.
Should have asked the new old heads to be on one of these podcast stages.
100%.
Because we put in the work. People know who we are.
Yep.
And because even with saying that, one of the highlights of my weekend was running into people who I did not know who talked about how much they love the podcast.
Yeah.
How they watch as soon as it comes out, that if not that day. Maybe that was a boost of my ego when people would tell me, how much.
It's affirmation, right?
Yeah, because it's like, sometimes you can look at the numbers and not really, get that affirmation because there's numbers on a screen or on a computer. But when you talk to somebody who comes up and gives you a handshake or gives you a hug and was like, oh man, I really love what you guys do.
Yeah.
I remember when they'll go into specifics about things that we've talked about, even things that they've disagreed with us about, but at the same time, we know that we have that traction with real people. It really does feel good. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, sometimes, sometimes there can be a healthy ego.
I call it confidence.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a different
confidence,
word.
Yeah.
But sometimes I tell people this, not that we're just in this crazy race to, get rich doing this. We do actually, we're working on some things.
Yeah.
But one of the things is our thing was not, if you give me a choice and you say, do you want to work with somebody who wants to be famous or rich? Even the part that's, where we talk about capitalism, I'm still going to pick the person who wants to be rich because someone who wants to be famous will do anything. They'll engage in a level of foolishness just to be famous.
That's it.
And, my goal, even though I've taken the longer, less traveled route on certain things, my name may not be on flyers. You may not see my face on a piece of paper or on a video screen, but my name is always on checks.
I heard that.
Okay.
That matters.
I heard
so, a lot of you had your face and name on flyers this weekend. But when it was time, they was like, hey, but they paid you in attention. Yeah. And at this point,
cut that check.
And at this point, you can't pay me in attention. I made no bones about it. If you saw me this weekend, it's because I was getting paid.
This is your ego talking, Jay Moore.
That's not my ego talking. That's just the real.
It's just the real ego.
Yeah. That too. As long as that check clears in a real bank.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can dig it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. If you seen me, I definitely got a check that day.
And that's pretty much where I'm at in general with most things too. And it's not, and a lot of it has to do with, I think, dues as well. Like,
you say like
paying dues. Like I've done that already. And a lot of these events and stuff, I wouldn't mind just showing up and supporting to some degree. But,
absolutely.
But a lot of this stuff too is like, I've already done it.
Yeah.
You know, like I've done it so many times. Like I was literally having a conversation with shouts to DJ Helicon. He's been on the show a few times.
Yep.
About the 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne show, and he had a chance to go, and he's just like, "No, I'm just gonna stay home." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably would have done the same. Like I've seen him before. It was good. I don't. You know, it's cold out. You know.
Yeah.
Different things go into factor nowadays. You know what I'm saying? It's a young man's game out here as far as wanting to show up to everything and be seen. That doesn't
Don't need
interest
it,
me
man.
anymore.
Yeah, but
Like
maybe,
I've met Jeezy before, and I guarantee you he doesn't remember me. So there's really no point in me trying to meet him again.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, again, but you're also talking to somebody who will sit next to a table at a table by himself next to somebody who he knows and respects, who's sitting by themselves and won't even go over and say hi because I don't want to bother them. So that's just me.
You know, the closest thing as far as a celebrity encounter I had was with somebody I've already known for 20 years. You know, so
talking about this weekend.
Yeah. So it was like, y'all know him as, you know, Track Star the DJ, who's Killer Mike and part of Run the Jewels DJ. I'm like, oh, okay, Gabe's in town.
Yeah, exactly.
Just gave his whole government out.
No, not his whole government.
Not his whole government.
Not his whole
He ain't
government.
give his whole government. We don't do no ratting on the show now. We don't do that now.
No. But, you know, like I said.
He's kind of a big deal, you know.
Yeah, he is.
You know,
that's
like,
when he brought him in. That's why I was like, "Oh, you, Killer Mike and LP's DJ."
Yeah.
He was real cool though. He was just in the cut chilling when I came down there.
Yeah.
Did you guys see in the suggestions tab I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's called Sora AI technology. Did you see?
Yeah,
did you hear that guy explain that?
I saw the video. Yeah.
Oh man,
this is another monumental jump in the technology.
It's a text to. I don't know.
It's a text to video AI tool. So you can type in a prompt just like you could chat GPT, but it will generate a video of what you type. But it's actually really good.
Like the quality of the videos, you can see it in the clip. This could be dangerous, man. I'm putting it in the hip hop context because if people are using content and they want to create whatever, who knows where people's minds go with certain people certain things that they rap about. So if you get you start texting and getting this high quality of AI videos, man, that could be dangerous if it's music behind it or whatever for content.
Dangerous how?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about, like the subject matter. Like, do you want to type in, I'm on the corner at All-Star Weekend out here in these streets, and then it gets a beautiful video of that?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't think that's dangerous at all.
Well,
I think that's using it to
that would be just fine. You left out the part, and I'm out here looking for some BBLs.
Let me redo the prompt.
Yeah, exactly.
Also on this corner is 7 women in line with BBLs waiting on all-star players or potential celebrities
with their ass out in the open.
You get to rapping about some of this Greek stuff. You get to type in that.
One of them has 3 teeth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. It probably was right.
I mean,
she probably wouldn't be out there getting chose.
Oh, yeah, because you can tell the story,
Yeah.
But it's some of this Greek stuff that people rap about. I don't know if these visuals are they're so clear, bro. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm tripping.
I think from that angle, I don't think it's an issue.
Okay.
I think it's because that would just make it easier for artists and content people. Look, one of the biggest issues that we have right now for independent creatives and across the board is that you have to, with the influx of social media, is when you're an artist, a musician, you have to do all the content yourself. If this makes it a little bit easier to create your content for something that you're doing, I'm kind of for it.
Yeah, I'm with
it. To a degree.
Okay.
Because we also have to factor in the fact that like if it extends over to this place to where like now a whole bunch of videographers are not getting any work, then it impacts a different type of a climate, in that aspect. But from my perspective, I'm looking at it like, this would be great for B-roll. This would be great for creating certain types of content.
Okay.
But you always have to keep in mind if it's going to take somebody's job away that,
because the guy that was in the video was saying that it's only been released to a handful of people because it's so powerful and so potent.
Yeah. Well, I think that's AI in general. Like if we're talking about what you can use AI for just in general.
Okay.
And we've had that conversation as far as it being dangerous.
But he said
in
that too.
sense.
He said that as well, though.
As far as the videos are concerned.
The reason why they haven't released it yet is because if you haven't seen these videos, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, I need to see the videos.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here in a second.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
But like AI itself is dangerous. But like the way you described it, that's not very dangerous.
That's not very.
Yeah.
No.
So here's a video real quick. Let's turn the audio off. But these are all videos from the text prompt, right?
Yep.
So typing in something, and all of this is AI, right? You know,
wow.
Yeah,
man. This
I want to say one of the videos from Kanye West's Vultures album was shot using AI.
So it could go multiple ways, Lone. To your point.
I mean, look at this. This is crazy. It's like a third person view from a Jeep driving through a mountain. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's kind of crazy. So
I'm thinking you're right. I'm thinking of B-roll.
B-roll,
it's a rap.
Yeah, B-roll stuff. Things of that nature. I think there's certain applications for it that honestly would help people that don't have the time. Like if you're a do-it-yourself artist and you can now spend your money and your resources on creating your art as opposed to like, well, now I have to be a videographer and all this other stuff. It may help to some degree.
It may help to some degree. And like, I can see it being dangerous in the point is losing jobs, things of that nature. Yeah. Because think about it. A company can literally hire someone just to write these AI prompts for everything. So we need a new commercial. Can you come up with a treatment for that and get it to me by the end of the day? Because literally you can. By the end of the day.
If you type it up right, it's going to hit.
I think the jobs will change a little bit, right? So I think the jobs will go from the people making them to facilitating. Like in mastering the AI, and a combination of the
going
things
through
together.
Changing little things to
subtleties, understanding the prompts to a major degree. And it's all going to be paywalled. We know it's going to be. And there are also other platforms like YouTube, like they recently announced something, I don't know to what degree, but you have to, I think they banned AI related tools from being able to be monetized to some degree.
Oh, really?
So if stuff like that is in place,
that's going to cut down a lot of the foolishness.
It will, because think about it. I mean, if this goes public, your entire channel could just be straight AI prompts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
somebody's definitely going to have a channel where they're teaching you how to use these AI prompts, and they'll be the ones that make all the money.
Hey,
just showing you how to use it.
Just off teaching it.
Yeah.
I'm not even mad at that, to be honest.
I'm not either.
But
okay. I probably need to learn how to use this stuff.
I mean, it's funny watching your reaction, Jay. Because that was my initial reaction. I could not believe.
I thought it was just whatever. The first time that I saw it.
Yeah.
Because I saw that video, and then I was like, I went to the website and I actually watched the clip, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
this isn't like what this is like real people.
Yeah.
And the
like
tools,
real animals and like the texture. I mean, I don't know if you would call it texture mapping. That's sort of a video game term.
Yeah.
But
it's like Unreal Engine 75.
Yeah. And when I saw the dogs running through the snow and the individual snowflakes in the fur on the dog, I was like, whoa. Like to think about what we were talking about as far as AI just 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Right.
When it was these very stilted vocals by, fake Drake songs.
For sure.
And to see what AI has gone to in 12 months is kind of ridiculous. And I know there's been a large investment by Microsoft into AI.
Apple just dropped their new face thing.
Yeah.
$3,000.
Yeah.
Face thing.
Yeah. The
mask thing.
Yeah.
Apple Vision.
Apple Vision.
Okay. $3,000?
Yeah, it's $3,000 for that job.
I think there's some upgraded one that comes. It's like 35 or.
Yeah.
All I know is look. I saw it and I was like, if it don't come with $3,000 in the box, I don't want it.
I'm with you.
Straight up.
Did you guys see the Benzino backtracked on the Eminem hate?
I'm talking about all the way back.
What do you think about that?
You know what? I wasn't even mad at crime. Man.
I wasn't either.
It's funny because
he need to go to Sober Champs.
Benzino, you would think I would have lost my ish seeing him. I wasn't even mad at him.
I was actually kind of proud of him for actually doing that. Low key, I was kind of like, you know what? He finally just had a grown up moment.
He had his moment. He had his adult moment.
He had a grown up moment.
But you know what? This is the thing. Because so far on most of the Drink Champs, the parts that I can actually find myself able to watch, people get to smoking and drinking. It's some jovial type stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody has been to a family reunion or Christmas dinner or something where somebody's had too much to drink, and all of a sudden the tears get to flowing because they get real reflective on things they've done wrong or people who have done them wrong. And so I'm surprised we haven't had more of these moments on this show where people break down, because liquor affects everybody much differently.
But what he said was very potent. What he said about,
I think especially when it came to his daughter,
because he said, I don't hate Eminem. I don't know him to hate him.
Right.
I don't hate white people. I'm tired of this ish. And he says, it's just too much. I don't want to be the bad guy. Eminem ain't a bad person. He belongs in hip hop. It's a big racist problem in America right now, and Eminem could probably stop half of it. That's a grown comment. That's a grown comment.
Those are great comments. And if he was always saying that,
right,
I'd be right there with him the entire time. Mm-hmm. But instead, he's had this persona, like he has to appear a certain way, and he has to,
there has been
it's just ego. We just talked about ego. It's all that ego in there. And he had a
human moment.
He was crying in the corner or crying on the table.
No, he wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Sorry, let me apologize. He had his emotional moment, but it was right after he said all the other stuff, right? Which is what makes it funny.
I mean, he just had a record, a month?
Yeah, but he was literally just saying, man, F Eminem, all this stuff, right? But then he had that moment, and that was a real moment, and I can respect that.
Yeah, not for real.
Hey, when the Remy's in the system.
Ain't no telling. But a little different context, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
But nah, I think it was cool that he pretty much said he's tired of having to address Eminem.
Yeah.
He said for the past 20 years, every time he has to interview or sit down and talk to somebody, he has to talk about Eminem. I can see that being annoying. And then I think in light of that, and then the liquor, and then maybe whatever else is going on in his head, it led to him crying and breaking down on the show.
Imagine if he was getting interviewed for his contribution to the Source and stuff like that.
Right. Because the Source is a staple in the hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying?
True. Can't take that away. That's real. That's real.
I mean, it's just like there's that episode of The Breakfast Club where, Dame didn't want to talk about Jay-Z.
Yeah.
He didn't want to talk about Rockefeller.
Yeah.
That's when he started going off on my son has cookies and he has equity and, I wouldn't want to call another man daddy. It came off as wrong, even though on a lot of things I definitely agreed with him. Mm-hmm. But it was just like, all right, man, stop asking Dame about Jay-Z.
But like Terry said, though, you can tell it's worn on him.
I hope
it's worn on him a lot, though. It's worn on him a lot.
I hope he keeps this same energy that moving forward. Yes, because what he said in that moment, regardless of the emotions, and people, in hip hop, we like to make fun of people that cry and have emotions. We've talked about
emotions,
right?
Episode.
But but everything he said was I can appreciate that. I can appreciate it. And so if that's the Benzino we get moving forward, I'm cool. I'm with it. I'm okay with that growth. That's growth to me. Yeah. So
and Benzino's been around for a lot of stuff. I don't want to hear him talk about Eminem anymore.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, I don't really care. I didn't care then.
It got to him, man. I think it was just heavy on him. It was heavy on him. And like Lone said, we'll take it. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Dash Brown.
NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, share, hit the bell, tell somebody after that, and bring them back with you next time we do our show. Also, anywhere that you can leave a comment for us or a review, we really appreciate that. That helps us as well. So, look out for your kinfolk if you get a chance.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies too. Just something to act right when they come through.
That's
Indeed.
And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
In a minute.
Goodbye.